decided somewhat reluctantly to do one of those question box services, much beloved of ministers who are bereft of an idea. And it was actually kind of fun. I decided I would try to play fair, and so I solicited the questions at the very beginning of the service, and during the offering they came in on little 3x5 cards, and then shuffled them, and then simply worked from the top down. And it was an interesting mix. People had sincere questions they thought I might actually have an answer to. Many wanted to see if they could trap me into some bit of silliness, because I'm pretty easy to trap into some little bit of silliness. The whole process for the service and the amount of time we had only got me down to about a third of the questions. And I took them into my office and set them aside, and then a few weeks later I started looking through them, and I discovered there were a couple of recurring questions. And one of them was, so what is this Unitarian Universalist Buddhist thing? And I decided I should try to address that in a more formal way, which I don't often do from the pulpit. I spoke and then decided, geez, Louise, I have prepared remarks for the convocation. We won't be using such prepared remarks at any other time along the way, but it is nice to have coherence, at least for a few moments in this time together. I did abridge this slightly from it was a great Sunday. We had a visiting gospel choir, and I was speaking of my Buddhism. And there were two moments when I was pretty sure we were in some danger for the service, that people might actually get up and walk out, leaving us without a choir. But they were troopers, and they stayed even as I held forth in things that you will hear in here. The Unitarian Universalist Divine Forest Church used to say that our human knowing we are alive and that we will die births all religions. The great urgency to find some meaning and purpose within our fleeting existence has been the heart of the spiritual enterprise. Of course, religions, all of them, have been caught up in many other things as well, sometimes much less savory. Crowd control comes to mind. Most all religions have some variation on the line, my spiritual text said it, I believe it, that settles it. Of course, no, it doesn't. It doesn't take complete and radical honesty to see how no religion has a monopoly on truth, or even that truth is always obvious in any religious assertion. Closer to home and to my own experience, this discontinuity between what I saw of life and what my childhood fundamentalist Christian faith asserted about reality led me out of that church. And it is what drove me into a Zen monastery. Frankly, this disconnect between assertions of what is and what is actually going on is what caused me to leave that monastery as well. This quest for a closer congruence between the assertions of reality and reality as I experience it is what eventually led me to find another, less dogmatic Zen practice. And it is what led me to enter the Unitarian Universalist Church and eventually to become a minister. Truthfully, I'm not done. These constantly arising discontinuities continue to challenge and inform me. Some time ago, I wrote a blog column entitled it, All Religions Are False. Got a lot of hits. And let me tell you, I meant it. My experience is that the religions we've received are, in fact, all of them limited. They are larded with all sorts of assertions about the world that contradict what our eyes see and assert many truth claims about our human condition and destiny that make no sense in broad daylight. I will spare you the litany of falsehoods associated with just about all religions, but I'm sure you can think of a number of inconsistencies or outright whoppers in your favorite religions without breaking a sweat. And this is equally important. At the same time, I could have, and I may yet, write a column called All Religions Are True. There is no doubt in my heart there are subtle and wonderful things to be found within pretty much all of them, from Christianity to Judaism to Islam to Hinduism to the kaleidoscopic varieties of earth-centered faiths. Each contains pearls of great price. I think how we all can find these pearls by opening our hearts wide. Religions, after all, are, in addition to those less savory things, the treasured troves of human wisdom, the repositories of the deep intuitions of many generations. The problem is that in each and every one of them, we need to sort wheat from chaff, noise from message. In order to find the true within religions, we need to bring our hearts open and our heads clear. I've spent the better part of my life engaged in this process. I've started, as I said, within a fundamentalist Christian household. I've listened to teachers in many traditions and scoured their spiritual texts. I've lived in a Buddhist monastery for several years. I'm now an authorized Zen teacher in 2 lineages and one of the guiding teachers of the Boundless Way Zen Network. I've attended theological schools, studying not only the arts of ministry, but also the philosophy of religions, earning an academic MA, as well as my MDiv. I've thought a lot, I've prayed more falteringly, and I've meditated again, lots. In short, I've examined my life and the lives of this world in the light of several religious traditions. And over the years, I've come to some conclusions about what is wheat and what is chaff, about what in religions actually matters. Now, as most here know, I've come to stand with my feet placed firmly within 2 spiritual traditions. One foot stands in the reformed Zen Buddhism that has planted itself in our Western soil over the last 100-odd years. It is rooted in some ancient spiritual practices and insights, which now live within my heart and inform who I am. Over this weekend, we'll explore more closely what that means for me, for David, and hopefully for each of you. However, I want to hold up how many of us who also identify as Unitarian Universalists come to Buddhism with a bit of a twist. Salvation in classical Buddhism is, in pretty much all versions, was to end the cycle of rebirth, which was believed to be at its heart suffering. That's not my Buddhism. Rather, for the most part, it is the highly psychologized Buddhisms of the West, and particularly within my experience of Zen Buddhism, that I have found salvation, the heart healing we all long for in this world marked by suffering. This healing is discovered by bringing the divided heart-mind together, bringing the many parts of who we are back home, finding the many lives within this life. The Buddhism of my experience finds suffering and grace, hurt and joy, as well as my ethical choices, are all informed by a deep knowing discovered through my disciplines in life that every blessed thing is united, in a very real sense, one, or using a traditional Buddhist metaphor, empty.